Hello, my name is Dan Kinjorski. I am host of Life on the Bench. And lately I've been addressing I've been addressing music of the 1970s, which I really enjoy and really look forward to. But today I want to talk about something else that's been on my heart and on my mind. As someone who has learned how to communicate later in life in a healthy way, I want to address communication styles and go from there. Okay. I want to talk about direct versus indirect communication styles and passive-aggressive communication styles. There's a difference between direct and indirect. Direct communication expresses thoughts, feelings, and expectations clearly and explicitly, leaving little room for interpretation. I began to prefer that direct communication greatly, and versus how I used to communicate. I prefer it because it's direct. There's no guessing what is meant by someone saying something, okay? Those who prefer direct communication values honesty, clarity, and efficiency. Messages are stated verbally and explicitly. I disagree. And that's fine. You see, someone who disagrees with me is fine. Or please do this by Friday, okay? Another way that it's treated, people who use direct communication prefers low context communication, meaning that words carry most of the meaning, not the situation. Okay? It's seen as assertive, confident, or even blunt. I think blunt without disrespect, blunt without passive aggressiveness. Okay? And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but being assertive and I prefer really assertive communication. It's not disrespectful. It's just knowing what you want and knowing how to say it. Okay? Now, a lot of people in the United States, Germany, Netherlands, Canada, Northern European cultures, this kind of communication styles in those countries. It's valued in workplaces that generally like transparency and speed. Some advantages that direct communication offers is that it reduces misunderstandings, it saves time and clarifies expectations, it encourages accountability. Now, there are some potential drawbacks to it. It can come across as rude or insensitive, especially in some cultures that favor harmony. One example is, I don't agree with that approach, let's try another method. And then you have indirect communication style. Indirect communication style expresses their meaning differently, subtly, often through tone, implication, context, rather than direct words. Now, I noticed my wife, who just called me a second ago, in which I'm taking this out. Okay, it should be silent. There we go. My wife is pretty much indirect. Some of the key traits of indirect communication is values harmony, respect, relationships over blunt accuracy. Messages are implied or suggested rather than directly stated. Relies heavily on nonverbal cues, shared understanding and social context, seen as polite, diplomatic, tactful. It's common in Asian, Middle Eastern, African, and Latin American cultures. My wife's from Puerto Rico, so she's more of an indirect communicator. This is valued in workplaces, emphasizing group harmony and respect for hierarchy. Take it for what it's worth. I'm more of a direct communicator. I need to be direct. That's how, because and there's a danger to indirect, which can become passive aggressiveness. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, And I still struggle with some passive aggressiveness. Not all the time, but I still do sometimes. The potential drawbacks, there's a risk for misunderstandings or ambiguity, and decisions may take longer to indirectness. One example is that might be a little challenging, which could actually mean, no, I don't think that will work. Again, direct communication is explicit and clear. There's clarity and efficiency in goal setting. Meaning relies on words. Typical cultures, low context, U.S. and Germany, etc., perceived as honest and assertive. Possible misperception could be rude or blunt. Indirect communication is implicit and subtle. Yeah. Harmony and respect is the goal. Meaning relies on context and tone. Typical cultures is high context, like Japan and India, perceived as polite and diplomatic. The possible misperception is evasive or unclear. And then you got this passive-aggressive communication is a form of indirect communication. Indirect communication is often used intentionally and politely to maintain harmony, save face, or show respect, especially in cultures that value that subtlety or that subtleness and relationship balance. Passive-aggressive communication, on the other hand, uses indirect or indirectness to express anger, resentment, or resistance. Again, let me say that again. Passive-aggressive communication uses indirectness to express anger, resentment, or resistance rather than genuine politeness. It disguises negative emotion instead of addressing them constructively. In short, all passive-aggressive communication is indirect, but not all indirect communication is passive-aggressive. The definition of passive-aggressive is a communication style where someone appears passive on the surface. They're agreeable, compliant, polite, but acts out in anger or frustration indirectly through behavior or sarcasm. Some core traits are they avoid open conflict or direct expression of feelings. That a lot of people are afraid of their feelings. They don't know what to do with their feelings. So they become passive aggressive. It's used to resist, or they make backhanded comments, and often leads to confusion and tension and mistrust. Examples of it are saying, sure, whatever you want, but then deliberately not following through. Giving silent treatment, using sarcasm to express frustration. Oh, I love it when you're late again. Doing tasks half-heartedly or as a form of protest. So let's talk about the differences between indirect and passive-aggressive. Indirect maintains harmony, respect, or diplomacy. Passive-aggressive expresses anger or resentment without direct confrontation. The tone in indirect communication is polite and tactful. Passive-aggressive is sarcastic, resentful, hostile, or even hostile. Indirect communication is common in high context, relationship-oriented cultures. And passive-aggressive communication is generally dysfunctional across cultures. In fact, indirect communication builds relationship through sensitivity. The effects of passive-aggressive communication damages trust and creates confusion. Example is that idea might need more discussion in direct communication, or passive-aggressive means, oh, great idea, just like last time when that really worked out. So what is a healthier alternative to all of this? An assertive communication style allows individuals to express thoughts and feelings clearly and respectfully, combining the honesty of direct communication with the consideration of indirect communication. Being assertive. That's what I value. I value the direct and the assertive kind of communication. Anyway, so this is Dan, Life on the Bench. I'm sitting there in the picture on the bench thinking about life, thinking about how we communicate. And which one do you like, or which one do you prefer? Not like, but prefer. Which has been effective or lacks effectiveness in your communication style? Something to think about while you're sitting on the bench thinking about life. Something to think about, our communication styles. Well, hey, my name's Dan, Life on the Bench. I hope you enjoy this podcast. If you do, like us, and please share it with others. And please subscribe to our website, Pathfinder Media Group. And subscribe to Life on the Bench as well by sharing it with others. Okay? Thank you. We'll see you next time.